The rare people who do become truly exceptional at something do so not because they believe they are exceptional. On the contrary, they become amazing because they are obsessed with improvement, and that obsession with improvement stems from an unerring belief that they are in fact not that great at all. Self improvement is really about prioritizing better values and choosing better things to worry about. Because when you worry about better things, you get better problems, and when you get better problems, you get a better life. A more interesting question, a question that most people never consider. What pain do you want in your life? What are you willing to struggle for? Because that seems to be a greater determinant of how our lives turn out. The more people there are who proclaim themselves victim over tiny infractions, the harder it becomes to see who the real victims actually are. Wanting positive experience is a negative experience. Accepting negative experience is a positive experience. It is what the philosopher Alan Watts used to refer to as the backwards law. The idea that the more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become, because pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place. Unhealthy love is based on two people trying to escape their problems through their emotions for each other. In other words, they are using each other as an escape. Healthy love is based on two people acknowledging and addressing their own problems with each other's support. Life is essentially an endless series of problems. The solution to one problem is merely the creation of another. To be happy, we need something to solve. Happiness is therefore a form of action. Don't just sit there, do something. The answers will follow. The more something threatens your identity, the more you will avoid it. There is a simple realization from which all personal improvement and growth emerges. This is the realization that we individually are responsible for everything in our lives, no matter the external circumstances. We don't always control what happens to us, but we always control how we interpret what happens to us, as well as how we respond. Whether we consciously recognize it or not, we are always responsible for our experiences. Travel is a fantastic self-development tool because it extricates you from the values of your culture and shows you that another society can live with entirely different values and still function and not hate themselves. This exposure to different cultural values and metrics then forces you to re-examine what seems obvious in your own life and to consider that perhaps it is not necessarily the best way to live. Being open with your insecurities paradoxically makes you more confident and charismatic around others. Suffering through your fears and anxieties is what allows you to build courage and perseverance. The pain of honest confrontation is what generates the greatest trust and respect in your relationships. Here is my recommendation. Don't be special. Don't be unique. Redefine your metrics in mundane and broad ways. Choose to measure yourself not as a rising star or an undiscovered genius. Choose to measure yourself not as some horrible victim or dismal failure. Instead, measure yourself by more mundane identities: a student, a partner, a friend, a creator. The narrower and rarer the identity you choose for yourself, the more everything will seem to threaten you. For that reason, define yourself in the simplest and most ordinary ways possible. This often means that giving up some grandiose ideas about yourself, that you are uniquely intelligent or spectacularly talented or intimidatingly attractive or especially victimized in ways that other people could never imagine. This means giving up your sense of entitlement and your belief that you are somehow owed something by this world. Do not hope for a life without problems. There is no such thing. Instead, hope for a life full of good problems. People get addicted to feeling offended all the time because it gives them high. Being self-righteous and morally superior feels good. If you are stuck on a problem, don't just sit there and think about it. Just start working on it, even if you don't know what you are doing. The simple act of working on it will eventually cause the right ideas to show up in your head. Self-improvement is really about prioritizing better values, choosing better things to give a fuck about, because when you give better fucks, you get better problems, and when you get better problems, you get a better life. Our crisis is no longer material, it's existential, it's spiritual. We have so much fucking stuff and so many opportunities that we don't even know what to give a fuck about anymore. Once you become comfortable with all the shit that life throws at you, and believe me, it will throw a lot of shit, You become invincible in sort of low level spiritual way. After all, the only way to overcome pain is to first learn how to bear it.